Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video entry we're going to talk all about the interior for the Project Glastron boat. So stick around because this entry starts right now. Alright everyone, thank you for coming back. And before we get started, I want to give a special shout out to Benny and Will. These two guys bought Make Old Boats Great Again t-shirts. If y'all remember me talking in the last video, I was going to be doing a shout out if you shared a picture with me. And these two guys shared pictures with me on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/jmink channel. Again guys, thank you for your purchases. And more importantly, good luck to you guys on your boat projects. So with that being said, let's jump on into what I've been doing on my Project Glastron. And more importantly, what I've been doing with interior. So the first thing that I did was I got the new marine grade plywood out and started mapping out my new interior pieces to be cut. All right, to get started off camera, what I did was I took the old bow rider seat and removed the vinyl from it and then traced that onto a scrap sheet of plywood. That scrap sheet of plywood is what you're seeing me trace onto the marine grade plywood here. The reason I used scrap piece first was to actually make sure I was going to be happy with the measurements from my tracings, and just to kind of make sure that I didn't waste the marine grade plywood at all. And I'm glad I did. So once I had it where I was happy, transferred that shape onto marine grade plywood and then cut it out with a jigsaw. And glad I did this. And the reason I would recommend maybe using scrap sheet of plywood first is because in my boat, the starboard and port sides were not 100% identical. The corners were just a little bit different, like I say, maybe fractions of an inch here and there. But transferring and doing this method really made sure that each seat fits perfectly. With the bow rider seats cut out, I then took them to the side and started tracing the interior pieces here from the rest of the marine grade plywood. Now as you can see, these are still covered in vinyl. I actually did not worry with removing the vinyl first on these because these were in such bad shape that from some of the corners that I started peeling up vinyl on, they were starting to crumble. So in order to save the actual shape as is, I ran these lengthwise on the 8-foot sheet of plywood and then trace my shapes out. Alright, so after I had the side panels traced and I was ready to move on, I cut the front panels and the side panels out all together here. I'm not going to show you cutting out the side panels just to kind of spare you, but essentially you use a circular saw and a jigsaw to cut some of these shapes out. Again, this is just my method. I mean, if you've got routers and stuff like that, I do not have routers, so I'm using what I have. So got my shapes cut first, and these right here are the front panels, basically the kick plates for the front section of the cabin area. I'm actually going to be cutting a speaker hole in both of those panels that you just saw me cut out. This right here is the outboard remote control panel. I reverse engineered it a little bit, took it apart, found out that the back piece was made out of 1/8 inch material here. So I had some scrap 1/8 inch marine grade plywood that I was trying to figure out how to get this C shape cut out of what I had left over. And then also these two rear panels that came out of the boat originally, they are also 1/8 inch in thickness. So I took them and tried to see what I could do to salvage again just using scrap marine grade plywood here, and I was able to get everything out of this leftover material that I have. So moving on, here's cutting out these outboard remote control panel pieces first. Again, I used a 1/2 inch for the thicker parts, and then there was that C shape that was 1/8 inch, just like these two rear panels right there. This is the C shape right here. It's in 2 pieces, and you'll see me assemble that here in just a little bit. What I'm doing here is rounding all the edges of everything I've just cut out. I knew I was going to be wrapping vinyl on every piece that you've seen, and rounding the edges off will make sure that you do not damage your vinyl when wrapping around those edges. You need to have a little bit of a gradient or a curve to them I'm not going anything severe, just enough to make sure there's not a sharp edge that could puncture the vinyl or crack it over time as it gets weathered. So again, just kind of going through each piece that you've seen me cut, just rounding them all off. Just kind of, assembly line method, had everything stacked up and ready to roll. Alright, with everything cut out, it was time to start doing some assembly here. What I did first was I sprayed the larger piece of marine grade plywood with some glue on the top and bottom edges, and then these two pieces that form the C shape are then put down onto that glue, and then I used stainless steel fasteners to mount it to the back of that other piece of wood. As you can see there's the old brown vinyl covered plate that I was using just to get my marks for the bolt holes that hold that remote control onto the wood. So just marking those out. And then here's how I wrap it with vinyl. Starting out, I went ahead and pre-drilled my holes for the bolts and screws that go through there. Just kind of making sure I didn't have any jagged edges. Once I had that done, then I move on to spraying with my glue. Now this brand of glue you're seeing me use is DAP Wood Weld. I actually got this from an upholstery shop here in the city that I live in. The guy told me I can use just a spray gun. It will not clog up the spray gun. I do not have to reduce it of any kind. He said just load it up and it will spray on without any issues whatsoever. And he was right. He told me it will give you plenty of time to work with it, and it will also, in a few minutes time it will have already kind of started to cure. But as far as working, he said, start in the middle, spraying both the cloth and the surface that you're going to be mounting the vinyl to, and then work your way out. So that's what I did. I kind of pressed it in the middle, folded one side back, sprayed the back side of the vinyl, and then started working it down, making sure it was good and flat and didn't have any bubbles in it. And then once I had that done, then it was going to be on to stapling the edges of the vinyl where I could. So these seams across the top and bottom that have wood backing, as you can see right there, that I'm trying to fit down into the crease, those are going to be behind the other panels of the boat. So as far as getting that to stay down, I'm shooting right into the top side, again with stainless steel staples, and just kind of rinse and repeat, did all the sides that way, and then on the back kind of wrapping the corners best I could, and then trimming off the excess once I'm done. But again, in case some people want to know what kind of glue this is DAP Wood Weld glue. They do a lot of car interiors, like headliners and stuff like that, at the shop here locally. And so I just bought about half a gallon off of the guy, so I didn't have to go buy it because he just had it in large quantities. So here I am finishing up, and actually came out pretty nice. I obviously did not go with the traditional wood grain faux vinyl that was in there before. I went ahead and just kept it all same color and shade that you're going to see for the rest of the interior. Now, same kind of process. This is how you do the side panels in my boat. Again, like I said earlier, kind of start in the middle, spray the surface you're mounting to down, and then spray the back side of the vinyl and work out the creases or bubbles. And then once you've got that, you flip it over and you start stapling. Just bought some stainless steel staples, the shortest staples that I could buy actually, and I got these at Home Depot. Cannot think of the brand right now, but I'll try to put it in the description of the video. Alright, so once we had the top side panel finished being wrapped with vinyl, moved on to the lower side panels here. Now what you're seeing me do This is after the vinyl has been wrapped on these as well, and now I'm attaching the aluminum trim accent pieces. I took these off the old pieces that I took out of the boat, and they were stapled in place on the old pieces. So what I had to do was remove them, and then kind of to make them nice and pretty again, I had to hammer them flat from where all the little puncture marks had been made with the staples originally. It's got them all nice and straightened back out, and now as you can see, I'm just kind of working the metal, make sure it is flush to the wood here. And again, I'm using stainless steel staples to fasten this down to the side panel here. Again, this wood is all marine grade plywood. I did not do any kind of treating of the wood. All we did was just spray glue to it and then adhere the vinyl with that glue straight to the wood. And just as far as this is concerned with stapling the aluminum or metal back to the piece of wood here, that's probably actually one of my favorite parts of the whole process. It was just real fun to see that kind of starting to look like a real manufactured piece that I just built here in my shop. You know, there's something about that little finishing touch there really set it off and made it look like a something I might have purchased versus something I actually handcrafted. Granted, I'm handcrafting based on an original that I'm following, so it ain't like I came up with this on my own, but you know what I mean. It was a good feeling to see it all come together there. Now back to the front panels here that I was talking about earlier. These have now had speaker holes cut out and wrapped in vinyl. Again, what I'm doing right here, I'm choosing to do the fold back and staple method for the incisions that I've made here with the vinyl. I'm going to pull that vinyl through the other side here and staple it down and then cut off any excess. I've seen multiple ways of doing this. This is just a way preferred method for me. You could also just simply cut a hole out of the vinyl and not fasten it down if you'd not like to do that. But I feel like this method here will keep the vinyl from coming loose on you later. Alright, so what I've got here is glue loaded up in my gun again, and I am spraying the entire interior wall here and then the back side of the pleated vinyl. And I tell you what, getting this right here put back in the boat on both sides just really made it look like a boat again. And I didn't even have all the panels up yet. There was just something about having that vinyl onto the side of the boat. I'll be honest, I stood back and just looked at it for a few minutes after I had it up on the walls. It was just kind of cool to see all this stuff coming together. Alright, so kind of jumping ahead just a little bit, I'm skipping showing the install of the front panels, and I'm going to show you installing these speakers. So basically, to install the front panels, it requires two stainless steel fasteners or bolts that run through the front cap, going through the firewall and then through this front panel and being bolted down. The left side, there are just two stainless steel screws and some special screw head hardware that I use to mount that front panel down to the firewall on that side. And then here I am mounting a Rockford Fosgate marine grade speaker. I've been a Rockford Fosgate fan since I was a teenager. I just love their speakers. These particular speakers here have a built-in tweeter in the middle, so these are 8-inch Rockford Fosgates that have a lot of low, mid, and high-end sound range. So really, you're getting a full quality sound, just from my opinion. But I've been so excited to get these things put into the boat, and it was really nice to see this as well, kind of showing a finished look here for the cab area. Alright, so with the front panels installed, I can move on to installing the side panels. These get bolted to the little fiberglass lip here with hardware, which I've already got poking through the boards here, and those just get bolted down. Now, I want to mention, you can see kind of the pile of bags there behind me in the floor of the boat. I just bought all stainless steel fasteners at Home Depot. I would just kind of take a handful of, like, okay, here's the old hardware that I'm replacing. Let's go find something adequate to that. and all of the hardware is stainless steel. And it was not cheap, but again, I didn't want to use the old kind of just not really good shape old stainless steel hardware that I took out of the boat. I was ready to use fresh new hardware, so that's what I did. So this piece right here is the rear panel that is going into place. Just kind of tap it into place just a little bit because it's pretty good solid tight fit there with all the vinyl on vinyl surfaces. The last step of this is to fasten the rear panel to that side panel there with a L bracket that came off of the original pieces, and then there are a couple of bolts that go through the top of that rear side panel. Also, those L brackets are used to mount the side panels to the front kick plates or front panels there as well. Alright, so now I'm bolting down the remote control panel with the bottom side panel, and then the top side panel will finish this out here in just a few minutes. But as you may have noticed on that kind of closer up shot here, one thing I did differently from factory was I chose to show the hardware that mounts the side panels to the boat versus hiding it behind the vinyl. I thought, why not use some finishing washers in conjunction with the stainless steel screws and just let those be shown and kind of accent a little bit of metal work going on in the interior of the boat. You know, I already had the trim added to the side panels here. That was the polished metal, and then in the speaker grills themselves there's some metal to kind of connect that as well, and then the little trim that you see when you're on the walk-through portion getting to the bow rider, there's metal showing there. Really was trying to just tie all this together, and I thought I could get away with it and kind of have some you know, a little bit of my own stamp versus just trying to do everything the way it was originally. And just like I was talking about, here's the Bimini top rail that is also kind of a brushed and polished metal look here, and it really all ties in together. All right, everyone, so that's what it takes to get the interior done in this boat. Now, you may have noticed I did not put the seats in. There's perfectly good reason for that, even though they are ready to go because they are prefabbed and manufactured by Wise. They're not ready to go by my standards because I've got wiring and cabling to do along the cap and for some other things like that. And quite frankly, being able to reach up in there and do that was just going to be getting in the way. Also, I've got some new gauges and stuff to put in. That's also part of the wiring and cabling. So I'll show you all those things in the next video. But in this one, that's where I'm going to end it today. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for sticking around to the very end. And as always, my name is Josh. This is the jmink channel. We'll see you next time.